I love that.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. You when did that all start?
Jesus. Oh, it was only a year ago. But
No way.
yeah, I've only been doing comedy a year. But I wanted to be a teacher originally. And I said I fucking hate kids. Am I allowed to curse on this?
You can do whatever you want, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I should say.
What's this?
Hold. Yeah. Make sure that the green light is facing you, right? If you're turning it around that way, it's not going to work. So
That's face me. And what distance? This?
that's fine. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
You've seen that video.
Right, but what was your question?
You wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah, I wanted to be a teacher, but I hated kids. And COVID, I went to college to learn how to be a teacher. And COVID really interrupted that with Zoom, and I did not like Zoom at all.
Yeah.
I still don't. And in college, I don't know if there's any people in college here, but it was genuinely like it was such a horrific experience, such traumatic. But like they would tell us, oh, can you turn on your cameras and stuff? And it got to a point where they had to tell me, please turn off your camera. Every time we'd be wearing a different costume, or I'd be half naked in one of them, and it was just so it's like. Anyways, I didn't do teaching in the end because I was doing a split course, so I was doing filmmaking and teaching. I dropped the teaching, so I can't do teaching. I'm still doing filmmaking, final year now, but that's.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've seen some of your videos and stuff like that on Instagram. No, but they're very good and incredibly well produced from someone who, like me, is trying to absolutely like fake it or like
fake it till you make it.
I don't have a clue what I'm doing, basically.
No, neither do I. Yeah.
No, but your content is brilliant.
Oh, thank you. That warms my heart. But it's I love. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just you have to make everything. Anything. If it's shite, if it's good, just make. That's why comedy as well. I started comedy because it's just comedy is like a form of writing, and I love writing horror and grotesque or misery, and that's how I write comedy. You write horror and then you just peel back the layers, and there you've got comedy. And it's strange because unlike filmmaking, and you might, well, I don't know if you do comedy or if you do anything else, but with filmmaking or any other hobby I do, it's very slow to like start off. There's a lot you put into it, but comedy was the very, very. I don't think there's anything else like it. Where once I started it just shot up, just like straight like.
The fact that you've only been doing it for a year is I'm shocked when you said that because I've seen plenty of comedians. I think you obviously have a bit of a talent for it.
Well,
I don't know if you.
Cheers,
I don't know how you found that, whether it was within your family, within school, or.
I love my family, but they're very they're very acting kind of. They love theatre and all that, so maybe I got it from that. But I'm not, and I am a terrible actor. I can't act, and I think you need acting for comedy. And I will eventually learn how to act properly. But
for example, with that what we just saw, was that you?
That was Robbie.
That was Robbie.
that was Robbie, and I'm something else. I think it's not really a character. It's more like because I feel like when I went on comedy at the start, you put on the face, you put on a stage presence, but I think that's wrong. I think it didn't. People like the jokes, but people don't really like you then, or they don't. They want you. They don't want. And it took a really long while to get that, to understand that people, they want honesty. They don't want the visage really too much. I mean, you can over exaggerate everything, and that's brilliant, but they want what you are. So that is Robbie. Yeah, that's me. But I would consider that a different entity to what I am at home when I'm making films.
Of course, it's a bit like, I mean, I know that you went into, or you attempted to go into teaching. Who knows what in the future what might happen with that? But I remember I used to be a teacher as well. When I was doing that, training to be a teacher, they very much said to me, like, your job is not to be Mark in the classroom. You don't walk into the classroom as Mark, because if you're in a bad mood, you can't transmit that to students. Yeah. You have to essentially act.
Yeah. But I feel like in the comedy sense, people want to see the bad mood. If you're having a shit day, and there is like a lot of like the people would argue that, be like, no, you have to put that behind, put on a good show for people. But in my experience, people just like you. If I try be someone else, they're like, that is fuck off. You know, that is shite. Get off the stage. But but like once you're yourself, and that's why I've only been doing it a year, right? And I only have about 15 minutes of good material. And you'd have all these comics who'd be like doing it 2 months and they'd be like, I have an hour, and it's just a lie. It's like, no, you don't. But the reason I'm so slow when it comes to writing jokes is because I'm so focused on, how do I hold the mic? How do I look? Where am I standing? How do I move? The stage presence. How to be yourself. It's so impossible, I think, to be.
How much work just went into what we just saw?
A year.
That's all your material.
It's not all of it, but yeah, that would be a year. 300, a good 365 days of shite, of either no laughs, big laughs, mixed laughs.
When you said that you went off script, did you were you just kind of ad-libbing there?
I went, because obviously when I'm writing materials, I'm going to perform now, that's going to be great. But then whenever I'm walking through the street of Dublin or something like that, I will always be thinking of lines in my head. That's just how, or when I'm writing. And at some point I will sit down and develop them into a set. But if I go off script, I haven't developed those bits into a set yet. So that off script bit is, I've thought of it before, but I haven't
fully developed.
I haven't turned the coal into diamond.
Yeah.
It is still.
We spoke to on this podcast actually a few months back, Sean Oyosa. I don't know if
you know Sean. Yeah.
And he was kind of he didn't say the point that Dublin wasn't big enough, but he's been taking trips back and forth to London, and then is eventually going to, I think he said, I'm not sure if he has moved at this point, but is moving to Berlin.
He will be, yeah. There's two comedians at our level, we're all roughly at the same level, tier list, I don't know. But Sean and another Rob Nother, they're going to Berlin as well.
So what happens in that sense? Is Dublin not big enough? Is it not supportive enough? Is the community around comedy, why are people moving abroad?
It is extremely supportive. It is such a nice community. Whether you're a shite comedian, a really talented comedian, wherever you are on the system, you could be a really a horrible comedian as well. People will still find a way to we all sit around and be like, look, you need help with this, or if you want to do something. But while everyone's very friendly and happy and not competitive as well, there's no competitiveness here. We have competitions, but everyone's just having the crack.
Yeah.
There's no real leg room to expand, really. You can't, if I was to stay in Dublin, as this is what I believe, if I was to stay in Dublin as a stand-up, doing stand-up forever, only in Dublin, I would become only so big. It would not be enough, basically. It wouldn't be enough financially as well.
Do you think that's because everyone's just having the crack and because they're not taking it not seriously, but there's no competition?
There's a bit of that, but there's also there's two different types of stand-up. I think there's media stand-up and then there's stand-up. So stand-up would be in the clubs. You're learning how to, you just, and some people make a living off that. Yeah. And it's very hard to get to that level, but you're going around to different clubs. Media stand-up is probably the stand-up we're all a bit more familiar with, where you see them on TV. Okay. You know how to, you look them on YouTube clips and all that.
Netflix and all
that. Yeah, literally Netflix specials. And the way to get to, they pay more, obviously.
Yeah.
And the way to get to that would be, it wouldn't be through Dublin. Dublin has a great media. No, it's not great. media has an alright, or Dublin has an alright media kind of. There's only so much
you
Ireland
can do
can offer,
from here.
And it's strict, 'cause I love Ireland. I really do. But it's.
Have you been given any tips from people about how to, get your big break or whatever in Dublin?
Well, I was actually, I went into comedy thinking, when am I going to get my big break? But I realised, and I kind of see this in every aspect of my life, not just comedy, who you are and your achievements. I don't, again, some might disagree, but I don't really see it as one big break going to make it. I see it as a lot of little things accumulating into one big achievement, like a portfolio kind of. Now, granted, there is some little things that are bigger than others, medium-sized things. But in Dublin, the biggest break I got in Dublin was the Crack Then TV show, and that was class crack, and we're hopefully getting the season 2 in summer on Virgin Media.
Brilliant.
But you know, as much as that, you can put that on your CV and your man will be proud of you for a month. That will only get you so far, you know. So
I saw, I think it was, I can't remember whose Instagram it was, whether it was Madeline's or yours, a picture of yourself, Madeline, and David McSavage.
That was 2 nights ago.
2 nights ago.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blow smoke up your arse here or anything, but I remember years and years ago, this must be about, I had a mate who was trying to do comedy, and his job was to stand outside the Halfpenny Bridge Inn with a sign saying, you know, comedy here tonight. And then if there were not enough people signed up, he'd get a chance to do a little bit of stand-up. So he's like, come on in, we'll just, you know, it was freezing one night, and I went in. There wasn't that many people there. It was probably about the same amount of people as there was here tonight. And
and one of the comedians just left as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And it was Foil Arms and Hug.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Were there. And I nearly wet myself laughing, like just.
Yeah.
And I remember David McSavage was there that night as well. And I think he obviously has an eye on
Oh, he does, yeah.
up and coming talent and
Savage eye.
the Savage eye and all the rest of it. But I was equally laughing here tonight when you were doing your comedy. That PDF of the dog thing. I don't know why. It's just so stupid, but it made me laugh a lot.
Makes a lot of sense.
First world problems.
Does that, you know, like, how seriously are you taking this?
Oh, it's priority number one. So much so I was sent to the principal's office there from college. I don't know, it's not principal, I don't know what she is, a year ahead. But I was sent, it was before Christmas. She was like, do you even want a degree? I said, no. I mean, I do want a degree, again, to make my mother happy for a week. But, you know, like, because it's great digital media, and you can't really get much out of it. It's more like, the only reason I'm going after a degree, and if my mother's watching this, she's going to kill me. But the reason I'm going after it, so when I'm in my deathbed, I can say, yeah, I have a degree. And then I die, and that's it. But then, like, what you call it? But priority number one, and this is what I was saying to my teachers, like, priority number one is comedy. And I'm a very, or at least I've been told, I have the face of a dosser, you know. I kind of do. I do dos. I don't take, you know, a lot of things seriously. But, like, and when I'm going around gigging and all that, you know, I'm having a crack. But at home, you know, you have to plan. The only thing I don't plan when it comes to comedy is when I'm performing, which is why I'm always like late to gigs. They always remind me like a day before, going, you know, you're on tomorrow. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. So, you know, but apart from that, it's.
But come here, so you said you've been doing this for 1 year.
Yeah.
And it's become priority number one.
Yeah.
What was priority number one before this last year?
Probably teaching and just surviving, kind of. Well, I actually, before the year, like, I've wanted to do comedy since like 3 years ago, I think, around that. That was in my mind, and it was slow. It was like a cancer, you know. I had the teaching, but then this comedy idea just kept growing and growing, and it overtook it, like that. And it was so strange because I loved secondary school, loved it. It was the best. I peaked. But after so I was like, I have to go back. I want to spend my entire life in secondary school. And obviously, once I seen the real world, I was like, I still love secondary school, but you know, I want to do more. And comedy.
Was it just the crack with your mates and stuff in secondary school?
Yeah. Because I was not smart, and I still amn't. As you can tell. But I loved secondary school so much. It was great banter. But I was not the class clown in secondary school. I was very much the DOS, or the one who was asleep at the back of the class. But I had a lovely school experience, which is odd because I went into secondary school thinking it'd be like the movies where you get shoved into lockers and stuff. Yeah. But it was. We were all very. Maybe I'm just lucky, you know.
It's funny because I hated secondary school.
A lot of people do, and I don't.
I don't know about what people here had their experience.
Yeah, but a lot of people I talk to are like, "What? How do you like secondary?" Obviously, I didn't like waking up but that's still, I don't like waking up. Yeah. You know, it's excruciating, as you've just heard there. It's excruciating. But like once I'm actually in the school, you know, which is because I hate college. Oh,
well, man, we're the opposite. I had a great time.
This is what I hate college. Well, mind you, I do go to NCAD, and that's what David McSavage was saying, because I told him I went to NCAD when he took the picture, and he gave me this look. But you know, I just says I hate NCAD. No, actually, with full offence, I hate NCAD. I hate NCAD, and he was very happy with that. because NCAD is just it's an art college, but they produce no art whatsoever. Well, it is art, but it's unoriginal.
They call it art.
It's horrible. But anyways, What was your question?
Well, it was kind of related to that and that kind of aspect of it being, you know, I kind of understand. Like I have some friends who were the class clowns, we'll say. I know you said that you weren't, and they were like these very, very funny people, and I think they did for a few years struggle to find themselves afterwards. For me, it was like a countdown clock. Like I didn't even go to school for the last 6 months of school. I just hated it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like during the leaving cert, like you had last 6 months.
Last 6 months, I didn't go. Like it was silly. Like I had this, like, I'm not gonna say an arrogant, but I had teachers that were literally just reading from the book and.
Oh yeah. I had.
What the hell am I here for?
I had my fair play of unenthused teachers, which kind of made me want to go, I can do better than you, and obviously that went to shit. But but even then, I feel like me quitting teaching is still better than them actually teaching. I'm still better, you know. Again, that's how shit of a teacher they were. But like I remember, because there's like during the leaving cert as well, there's like a week period where you have to go home and study, and then you do the leaving cert. You know, you're doing class, and then here comes the week, and you just study. Obviously, I didn't. Well, I studied a bit, but you know, video games were a thing, and they still are, which is great crack. But you know, when I came back, everyone was miserable. You know, because they're doing leaving cert. But I was so excited to see my friends again and all of them, and it was great crack being in the classroom again. There was a girl during the French listening exam. She started crying. It was amazing. I loved school. I remember I did TY. That's how much I loved school, which is a transition year. And it was a joke, really, transition year. We didn't do anything proper. But there was one class for religion where we would write Bible. They turned us into monks. We had to write Bible transcripts. We were learning nothing. Maybe I don't know how to spell. But like, you know, we were all 17. But have you ever seen that thing where you get tea bags and you just start patting the paper to make it look old?
Yeah.
They gave us all the tea bags and we just threw them at the ceiling. And to this day, you can still see the tea stains because it's too far up to. And I miss that. You can't go into the Starbucks and do that. They throw you out. I've tried.
Can't go to work do that either. Yeah.
You might get away with it in Dunn Store's coffee shop, but it's just, you know.
How much of because I was saying actually to some of the guys earlier here tonight that through Nia and Melinda I've gotten to know a little small portion of Madeline of the comedy community here, and it does seem very tight, like you said.
Did they say it was nice?
Yes.
They didn't say
everybody
but Robbie's a scumbag.
No.
And as soon as we told him you were coming on, all he did was laugh. Yeah, they didn't say anything.
But that's what I love. Yeah, they're very, because it's like, and that's the thing when I talk about, cause, you know, I've friends surprisingly, and I talk to them, and I'm like talking about, you know, the comedy community. And I say my co-workers, which kind of feels weird because they are co-workers, but I get a lot. They are kind of like a family as well. Yeah. You know, they're very, and I've mentors as well. I never thought I would have the capacity for a mentor.
Who's your mentor?
Brian Gallagher, and I've Brian Gallagher, Eddie and Damo who run the Crack then. Well, Eddie and Damo are more like my bosses or my parents. Damo is the fun-loving wife who brings me to the playground, and Eddie is the father who beats me with a belt. And then Brian's the creepy uncle who gives me a shot of whiskey when my mom's not looking, you know that. And I love them three, they're great. Now they have taught me like so much, because I went to Edinburgh with them and all that, and they've taught me so much. Aideen McQueen as well, she's taught me, she's the fun aunt, you know, the wine aunt, you know. But I don't like wine aunt, but I love my aunt. I love Aideen, sorry. But it's, you know, it's great fun, But you've
gotten to know all of these people in 1 year.
Yeah, but it's like, it's kind of strange. You live in a second life almost.
Yes.
You know, just like that, and it's like, I don't. It's strange because, you know, as well with the stage presence, as I was saying, when you first join, you're putting on the mask, you're putting on the comedy, and there is still a form of exaggeration you're putting on, but then when you know, the mask isn't off when you come off the stage. you know, you see, I would go to the comedy bookers and all that and be like, how was that? Any tips? What's going on? You know, what's the crack? And you still have it's almost like you're cheating on your normal life.
Yeah.
But my normal life is completely dissipated now. It's gone. It's in the trench.
But so, like, what does a serious comedian's life look like here? Like, are you getting up? Do you sit down at a computer and start writing jokes?
No, never computer, never digital. Like, the only time I would ever do anything digitally is if an idea comes into my head. It's like, I have to write that down for later. But if I'm writing jokes, it's never on screen. Never, because I like paper. And paper, I just write, and then my writings turn into doodles, and that's usually how I remember things.
Right.
And sometimes I draw first, and then those become stories. You know.
What are you drawing? Are you drawing the scene? Are
I
you
haven't
like
a clue. They just they appear. I draw monsters a lot.
Okay.
I like drawing monsters. I think monsters are really good. I like drawing like really, again, like as I was saying, like you write horror, you write grotesque, and then you kind of strip back. That's how I write everything, even if it's not comedy, even if it's like something like, I love writing from like normal life, you know, and that's like every comedian will say that if you're writing anything, you know, write from what you know. Yeah. I don't really know anything though, but like just write, you know, what you experience every day, and then turn that into something grotesque, and then strip that back into comedy, and it's
right. So you're I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm a very I am super pragmatic. So when you're like talking about doodles and jokes, and I was like, what's going on here? So you're saying that like you're exaggerating a lot. Situations. On paper.
So write what you know first. It's very simple. Like in terms of what I do is I go home and I write what happened during the day. What happened during the day? I just write it down. And then eventually something just takes over, and you just start drawing. Not what you've written, but you just start drawing, and then they kind of merge into one. It's like a Venn diagram. You have one circle of all the writing of what happened today, and one circle of all the monsters and the creatures, and in the middle you have a joke about baby bells. And I don't know. And it's funny as well, because I really despise that joke. Because that was like one of my it's like my second ever joke I've written was the baby bell joke. It used to be Starburst actually, and a lot of people there go, Starburst is funnier than baby bells, but I'm like, no, cheese.
I agree with the baby bells.
Yeah, I think baby bells is good, but I really don't like that joke. I really don't. But it is a great segue into the middle, where I just get to really just be myself, kind of just rant about, you know, God, and I'm a very, again, biblical boy, you know, theological specimen.
You said you're not a religious person.
No. Well, you know, I would consider myself Catholic, apart from the fact I don't practice any Catholic practices. So, like, I think I'm just very interested in just Christianity in general. I'm very interested in all religions, actually. I think Buddhism is really cool, although Buddhism is very scary. The fact of reincarnation is a terrifying thought. I have to do this all over again. It's like game over.
For me, that's like going through school again. For me, that would be.
Well, that would be pretty cool, actually. Now that you say it.
That's if you don't come back as a carrot cake, like you said earlier on.
That's true. But carrot cakes still have a bit of spice in them.
Can I ask what age are you? I don't.
Oh, geez, I don't know now. I've lost count. The bags under the eyes say a different story, but I think I'm 21 now. No, I'm 22. Oh my God.
Jeez, you're only 22.
Yeah, man. But I get heartburn going up the stairs, so I might as well be 50.
Fucking hell, 22.
Am I allowed to ask what age are you, lads?
No, you're not allowed to ask.
Oh no.
I'm gonna get my hair cut tomorrow and I'll give you a different answer.
I think you look.
Go on, tell me. You know what? Because I'll tell you what. When I was 25, someone told me I looked 40.
So you're not 25.
I'm not 25, but this can't be worse than that.
Oh, you're not wearing your shirt from the other day as well.
No, I've got a very mature
shirt.
Not mature. What's the one? A youthful-looking T-shirt on.
Finger came out there.
Wait, how old did you think I was?
I would have said you're about 25.
Jesus, no, I'll be dead before then. I'll get hit by a bus because I don't look left or right. They didn't teach me that in school. They just taught me how to fucking throw tea bags at the ceiling.
Yeah.
But I think you look. So you're not 25. That's what I would have said, I think. 25.
It's very generous.
Jesus, yeah, that is extremely generous.
I'm a very generous person.
Yeah, no.
You look 50. No.
I take that too. Given the ratio of 25 to yeah. No, I'm actually speaking of religion. The same age
dodges the question.
Back to God.
Back to God.
Actually, I'm about to reference Jesus being 33. I'm 33.
Is Jesus died?
Or he died when he was 33.
Yeah.
So
then he rose again, so it doesn't really count.
Oh, that's questionable. Anyway, I've really appreciated you being here and spending time with us.
You.
It's been a lot of fun.
No bother.
I think I'm going to be interested to follow your career as it goes on. I'm not, as I said, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I thought you were very funny.
Oh, thank you.
I think you've got a genuine talent. Keep working on it.
But can I ask as well, like, can I ask where you going with your futures in terms of, because we know I'm just trying to be a stand-up, even though I don't necessarily want fame, and it surprises people. I actually don't. Well, I just want wealth, because I'm greedy, but and prideful. And if you're going to hell, it might as well be for pride. But what are you going for the podcast? This is a bit of an enigma, I think. You can go multiple routes with it.
It could go multiple routes. For now, we're going with the flow.
Is there a priority? Is that number one priority, or is there different priorities, Witches?
The priority ultimately is to try and enable. It's actually, I kind of believe in the power of conversation.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to answer the fucking question or not?
Sorry, go on.
And I think that ultimately I would like this to be a platform where people can kind of get to know new people, like a community can be built around it. I was saying to the guys earlier on here tonight, when I moved abroad, I would have enjoyed something like this, where it might be one night a week where you can go and you meet random people, and you might exchange a WhatsApp number. You're like, listen, we'll go for a coffee that day.
WhatsApp? Jesus, you are over 25.
What do you use?
Snapchat, baby.
Snapchat.
Oh, no. Snapping the boys.
I can never remember the messages. I open it again and it's gone.
Oh, you can save
Can you send messages on Snapchat? I thought it was just pictures.
No, you can send messages as well.
Okay.
But hold on. So would you go abroad? But because this podcast is a life in Dublin.
Yeah.
How would you do that abroad?
No, I get. No, I guess we're getting to the generational thing again. I already was abroad. Now I'm back.
Yeah. A life in Dubai.
Anything that starts with a D.
Yeah. A life in Denmark.
Yeah.
Another one.
A life in Detroit.
To be honest, though, what has happened since actually we've started it? We obviously started mostly interviewing expats and stuff like that, and then like Pete, like yourself, who's lived in Thailand for 12 years and then came back, and he's talking about reverse culture shock and that kind of stuff. Trying to get like and create a picture of Dublin for people who don't know it, so that they feel a bit more welcome in it. Does that make sense? So Dublin is a bit like, it has its light and its dark.
Yes,
so there's many great points about it, but from obviously being surrounded a lot by the Spanish community here as well, people like it's sometimes you need to kind of give a little explanation as to why something is happening in the city, and you're like, you don't need to worry about that, you just need to keep walking, or whatever it might be. Or silly stuff like that, right? So that's where the origin of the podcast came from,
right.
And then subsequently more people like yourself, like creative people, have come on it, and those two communities are starting to kind of come together in a way, in a sense of, and there's a lot like Joy, people who kind of fit that Venn diagram perfectly. So whether she might be a performer, musician, but she's actually Italian and she's living that experience and that expat experience here.
I think our Dublin, because there's a lot of hate that goes towards Dublin, and I agree with a lot of it, to be honest with you. It's just the way it is. But I think Dublin is great for creativity, though, because it's such a chaotic mess. Because when I was living in Dublin last year, like I was living with the boys, and that was in an apartment. And I would wake up genuinely at like 2 a.m. And for breakfast, I would have a Monster can and a bowl. It wasn't a bowl of jelly; it was a saucepan of jelly, and I'd eat that with a fork. And then I'd go to college, but college is already over. It's 2:00. So I'd walk around Mabbott Lane, and I kid you not, there was an old man who like was playing Harry Potter with his umbrella. It was mental, and I was just like, I despise the city, but I love it. And I think, so if you are like a musician, or like again, you have to make. That's the point. That's what my meaning to life is. Just make. It doesn't matter what you make, just make. I think if you want inspiration to make, Dublin's the best place to go. Apart from, there's a load of people though, like, there's the general public. I don't think a lot of people I don't like the general public. No, not a lot of people do. But that's my only concern when it comes to the chaos of Dublin. There'll be a lot of people in Dublin that make eye contact with you, and that's bad. I don't like that. But apart from that,
you know, it's funny because I don't know, for some now that I know you're 21, you're talking about eating jelly with a fork. I'm kind of envious of that.
Do you miss it?
See that, like the housing crisis, that's obviously been talked about, you know, so much, and because it is such a big problem. So I've had to move back with the parents, and it was only very recently I told the boys with a Z. Oh my god. Anyway, I told the boys, like, I really miss that terrible lifestyle. It was such a disgusting, grotesque way of living. But because now, when I do that, I feel guilt. I feel immense guilt. But when I was doing it back in the day, you know, it's Dublin. There's not a lot of houses. We were all packed in a one room, and we were all smelly. And, you know, like, one lad never did the dishes because he was always working in Arnott's, and I never picked up my clothes because putting away clothes is horrible. And the clothes horse was always flying away because we put it on the balcony because we were gobshites. And they were at the very top floor. It's like, where's our clothes? They're gone. I used to wear this they called it a wife beater. It's a vest, you know, you wear one of them. And I'm a scrawny lad, I don't know if you can tell. But I looked grotesque. I'd never wash it. It was white. It's now green. It's now gone because they took it out to the balcony and burnt it. And I miss that. My parents would never take clothes outside and burn it. They just look at me and go, "You're a disappointment. Feed the dog." Yeah, but I love my dog. I do. I love him.
Man, I wish I was thinking about. I asked permission from my fiance. As I had to ask permission to get a dog yesterday.
And you get one?
No.
Why not? Why not? I think, like, when it comes to a lot of, you know, people and animals, you know, I'm very distant, I think, to a lot of. So I'm not very empathetic. I don't think a lot. But dogs, there's some, and cats actually. Cats and dogs, I have a real love for them. I absolutely adore them. Even the ones that bite you, I'm like, I should keep it. But I won't, because, you know, I mean, I should take care of it. You know, I don't think we should ever, like, unless it's in pain.
You can have moments of understanding. Like, I've had dogs in the past.
Yeah.
And I have, like, you can be having a terrible day, and the dog knows you're having a terrible day. It's weird. And then also vice versa. Sometimes, and it sounds stupid, but you can tell that the dog is in a bad mood.
That does sound stupid. No. I get exactly what you mean, because I have a very old dog. I've had him many years, but he's a little fluffy like Jack Russell. He's very old. He doesn't bark or growl. He just grunts. You know, he reminds me a lot of my granddad. And, you know, if they're in the same room together, I have to squint to make them apart. But my dog will be on the couch, and we have a pretty big couch. But if you sit like on the edge of it, he'll look at you with like such disdain. Like, "What are you doing on my couch?" You know, he's real grumpy. But he's so old, but he's so what's the word? So calm, so loving. I think he's such a arsehole. But he's like your granddad, kind of. I don't know if you have the relationship with your granddad. Like, I have a relationship with my granddad where I look at him and I was like, why are you saying these prickish things? I love you so much, you know. Why hide behind the truck full of Cadbury barrels and all this kind of stuff? He told me one time, we were doing a family quiz, and one of the questions was, what's the most, it was like a ask a few. What's the word?
You got a little lost.
What kind of quiz? It was a answer. Yeah, there's a few. They give you a list of answers and you have to pick one, right? And one of them was like, the question was, what is the dirtiest thing? And one of the answers was the dog's mouth, and that was the correct answer. That way, the dog's mouth is one of the most bacterial, things. And he just yells out, "A dog's mouth can lick any wound and make it better." And I just my granddad has been alive for nearly 200 years. So I'm looking at my dog maybe he has a point, But I love my dog, I really do. And my granddad.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Come here, I think I'm not going to say, but I think you've got big things in front of you, and I'd like to say I hope that you do us proud and that you enjoy it.
You just look in the newspaper a couple of years. Oh no! Oh, what did he didn't do that? No.
No, seriously, I mean that.
That used to as well with the podcast in Dubai. It's gonna be great. I can't wait.
A life in Dubai.
Yeah, a life in Dubai. How tall does the building go?
Appreciate it. Robbie, give a round of applause for Robbie.
How good.
We'll take maybe 10 minutes. Take your time. You can get set up, and then we'll have a little bit of music from Joy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Joy.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, man. That's
Thank you.
brilliant.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
So when will that be up? Are you going to put it up?
It's up now, it's live.
Oh, it's live. Oh
no! We'll edit it a bit anyway and get the audio together and stuff.
Yeah. Cool. That was fun. That was great crack.
That was great. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Do you want to leave it on?
We might need to kick around with that a little bit.
Press that button.
Would I be
So it
able?
doesn't turn off.
So will that? The way it's live?
Yeah.
Actually be saying it.
Yeah.
Would I be able to make a clip and put it on Instagram?
100%.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
I'll obviously take titles and all that shebang, That's
Download it and send it to you.
Just a little bit. Make some space.
guitar, bass.
Thanks.
You can introduce yourself.
I don't know, do I have Hi. Hi everyone, I'm Joy. As you can see, I'm a cellist, I'm a singer, I'm Italian, and I arrived here in Ireland because of music basically, and as he was saying as well, the musical community as well is really nice, it's really open, it's really friendly. And I really like this thing of Ireland, it's really nice. I'm going to sing a couple of songs for you, of mine. The first one is a love song that is coming on Spotify in March. It's my first single, so hope you enjoy. It's called Cleaning Woman. It's basically a love story of this man that works in, the high buildings, like the one that you can find in the docks as well, with his suit, it's super elegant, that falls in love with the cleaning woman that works in the place where he works. And the wife finds a love letter, and then she understands that she wants to be free, and she doesn't care about what he wants back from her when he feels guilty about what he did. Enjoy. So somebody's super sleeping. Okay. The next song is called Complaints. Is like a kind of autobiographic song of mine because I was living with this guy in Italy before I came here 1 year ago, and I kind of escaped from him because it was a kind of toxic relationship. He was always complaining about his life and like, but he was lucky, like he was packs of money, he had like houses around, so he was pretty lucky girl at that time. But like he was really boring and I couldn't stand him anymore, and I decided to move to Ireland after that. So yeah. Up the dubs, no. So this is Complaints.
I try